If you have been anywhere in Edmonton, Alberta, Western Canada for that matter, and caught some live local music over the last, I don't know how many years, we're going to have to find out for sure. But if you've been there, you've probably seen him. Mike Braniff is my guest today.
Reluctantly.
This podcast reluctantly sponsored by ThompsonMortgages.com. If you are set to renew your mortgage in 2026, reach out to Thompson Mortgages first. TimberBuiltHomes.ca. Homes and cottages, recreational dwellings, and more at TimberBuiltHomes.ca. Concept Clothing and Culture. Amazing custom-made clothes for men and for women at ConXEPPT.com. And Wendy Campbell, realtor at BlackmoreRealEstate.ca. If you would like to list your home, or if you're searching for your forever home, email Wendy at BlackmoreRealEstate.ca. WENDE at BlackmoreRealEstate.ca.
Reluctantly.
How do you do?
Pleasure to be here, Terry. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you bet. You just came off a little road trip with Semenko Dave.
Took Dave up to my road manager, Kat. He travels well. Yeah. We went up and did the Grand Prairie gig up the Crown and Anchor pub up there. It's the last of the six-nighters. A rarity in the industry these days to still have a venue that has a full six-nighter gig, and just another great week up there for me. The staff are amazing. The crowd that comes out's amazing, and a good hang for me and Dave for the week. He really enjoys the trip up there and back. So in the summertime.
Okay, so well, first of all, off the top, I said if you've been anywhere in basically Western Canada, especially Edmonton, Alberta, over the past, I don't know how many years, you've probably seen Mike Braniff perform. How many years now?
This Halloween will be my 44th year playing. My very first gig was Halloween night, 1982. So, 1982. And probably about the last 16, pretty steadily around Alberta once I moved back to Edmonton. So,
okay. And now we go into the thing that you just brought up, the six-nighter. You just finished a six-nighter in Grand Prairie. So the six-nighter is, I mean, you're one of the last musicians still doing the old school six nights a week in a pub circuit, bar circuit. What does that lifestyle look like in 2026?
Grateful to have a six-nighter left. Harkens back to the old days in the 80s and the early 90s when that was the norm. You'd pull into town, do 6 nights, drive 15 hours on Sunday and do 6 nights all over again. But I was a much younger man then, so it was a little easier. This gig's a great gig. They've got a great band house. It's really comfortable. So I get my daily nap in before the show every night. But it's the old 9:30 to 1:30 grind, but it's a great gig. Playing, I'm the rock and roll guy that comes into the room. There's a few country artists that like to come through. So I like to cleanse the palate, so to speak, kind of give them some of the old classic rock and roll again, and a bit of a high energy show for as much high energy as I've got at 60 years old, I guess. So
is that where you are? Is that you're at 60 as well?
Yeah, I'm 60. I'm going to be 61 in a couple of weeks here. So yeah, it's like, everybody wanted to have a party on my 60th birthday. And I'm like, no, I'd rather do one on 61. Nobody celebrates 61. So.
Yeah, I just hit 61 back in December. So we're roughly the same age.
Feels creaky, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. So just the six-nighter, I mean, that was such a staple for bands, musicians for such a long period of time. The circuits, the different, whether it was 1, 2, 3 or ABC or whatever the case may be. Is the Crown and Anchor, is the Grand Prairie place the only place that still does a six-nighter? Or are you still running into those from time to time all over the place? Or like what's happening?
Pretty much they're the last one that I'm aware of. A lot of around the mid 90s, you started to see the clubs back it down to the back 4, then the back 3, then the back 2, down to one-nighters. And This gig has been running 6 nights a week, entertainment with karaoke on Sundays for 35 years now straight. So God bless him for sticking with it. Granted, there are a couple of slow nights early in the week, and you're hoping that they stick with it, but bless them for doing it. They've made it very comfortable for the bands to come up and stay in a very comfortable band house. Little perks here and there as well too that just make the 6-night experience a little more tolerable. It is a grind. It can be a little taxing on your voice and your body a few nights into it. I learned in the last few years, you can only party so much with the crowd. Hence the name change from I did 13, 14 years there as the party hog and realized I was doing much less partying with the audience and just more performing. So having to back off on that because you just can't be as much as I like to get a tequila shot for playing somebody's favorite April Wine song, you can only do that so many nights in a row. So I've learned to behave a little bit better and push my body a little properly through the week, how to maintain sanity through the week as well too, and just coming out of it smelling like a rose on Friday and Saturday night because that place gets absolutely packed in there, and it's a fair size, over 200 capacity, so they do really well in there on a weekend, and it's a lot of fun. It still is a lot of fun for me. I've got a grand piano directly in front of me that's used as a table, so I'll have at any given time 7 or 8 people sitting within 6 feet of me, which can be a little unnerving. You usually got that buffer of the dance floor between you and the audience. But with this place being directly right there, the fun part for me is they don't know I can hear them talking. Like I'm loud and the speakers are blasting at them, but I can still hear every word they're saying. And I hear the guys, trying to pick up a girl or the girls trying to pick up a guy, and I hear all these one-liners and stuff, and it can be pretty funny. And I'll interject every now and then, as I've been known to do, and kind of like I had 3 young guys pull up to the piano and sit there and try and be real cool with me last Friday night. And I think I started making fun of their porn star mustaches, like they got a 3-for-1 deal or something like that. And they realized they better probably go sit somewhere else if they want to meet girls because I'm going to make it a little difficult for them. So
you talked about going 13 or 14 years as the party hog. I suppose that's a name that just kind of invites the tequila shots, doesn't it? And they hit a little harder on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday than they do on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I suppose.
Absolutely. It used to be getting up there, and Monday night would be let's have a couple of shots to start the week off, and you realize by Wednesday you're not feeling that great, and the performance starts to suffer because of it, because it's not easy singing and playing with a hangover, that's for sure. But yeah, the party hog thing was kind of, I'd been doing it up to about my 25-year level, and realized I was stepping out and doing some other things, and it was time to kind of move away from the name and take my own name back, perform under my own name. And then that way there was less pressure to be the party hog at every show, because it is just that much more difficult to recover.
Even the branding on your social media, Instagram and Facebook, Mike Braniff Music now, which is probably something a little friendlier and easier on the physical composition.
Absolutely. I mean, the show really hasn't changed that much. I'm still doing a lot of the same songs, a lot of the same bad jokes, a lot less of the song parodies that I was doing years ago. I gotta admit, I listen back to some of the song parodies and I'm just embarrassed by them now, kind of thing. They haven't aged well. So but people still know me as the party hog up there. I still kind of people show up with my t-shirts and stuff. That I sold a lot of t-shirts. I learned long ago if you put a dirty word on a t-shirt, guys can't get $20 out of their pocket fast enough to buy it. So, you know, I had one shirt had after George Carlin died, I did a tribute shirt with his 10 dirty words on the back. And I had one of the staff was wearing it at work the other night. I'm like, first of all, where did you get that shirt? She's 21 years old. I go, you were like 7 years old when I first started playing this bar. There's no way that you bought that, but somebody gave it to her. And it's just kind of fun seeing the old party hog stuff come out and people still remembering me as that. And they kind of tease me a bit about the new name. I go, well, it's always been my name, so it's not really new. I just had to back away from that guy, from Party Hog. It was
with merch. It's an opportunity for people to support the act right then, right there. And did you really dive into that? I know you had all kinds of stuff. Didn't you have everything from T-shirts to barbecue sauce?
Yeah, I had four types of hot sauces. The first 2 hot sauces I got were too hot even for me. So I had the guy make me a mild one and then an apple cinnamon hot sauce, which was great on ice cream. I found out. I know it sounds weird. It's like a spicy applesauce on ice cream, but yeah, I sold a lot of hot sauces, probably, and I'm not exaggerating, probably close to about 4,000 t-shirts in about a 20-year period there. And it was nuts. I've got about 10 different types of shirts that I had, ball caps, that kind of stuff. I had surgical scrubs, tank tops, staff shirts. The girls would love it because I had a Party Hog staff shirt that said, "Show me your tips," tips with a P. And the girls would come up and go, "I never made so much money wearing this shirt." I go, well, also, it's not just what it says. I go, look at the shirt too. There's not much there. So that did help. Absolutely. But yeah, it was, I guess the biggest pain in the ass about it for me was having to dig through my hockey bag full of shirts during my breaks instead of actually having a break. That was the thing about being a solo act. You had to set up and tear down all the equipment all the time, but also run your own show if I wanted to sell merch, because it would be funny. I'd set up at a gig and then I'd take out my demo shirt and I'd hang up the front, hang up the back of it. And I knew 9 times out of 10, I would turn around and there'd be 2 guys standing there with $20 ready to go. Well, I need that shirt. I need that shirt. So I would sell 10 to 15 shirts during my breaks. And, until I figured out a system, I put them in Ziploc bags and easily mark them and stuff. Otherwise, the hockey bag just becomes a convoluted mess after a couple of weeks trying to find that damn medium that says "Well, F for beer" on it. Can I swear? Is this?
Yes, I don't care.
Okay, yeah, okay, cool. Oh, because I had crazy shirts. Overworked and underfucked was a really big seller. And surprisingly more for the women. So I made it into a lady shirt, and I remember I had these nurses come in. They were having an evening out. They all bought, 6 of them bought like the tank tops with it. And then I said, well, I need a picture with you girls wearing them. Well, we don't really want our faces on the internet. I go, well, I just want the backs of you anyway, where it says overworked and underfucked. So they all lined up against the wall, and I got a terrific picture out of that. But I had other ones. "Will fuck for beer" was a big seller. You put something racy on a shirt and it's gone. That's it.
Yeah, a lot of garage sale items that end up showing up hanging on a rack or something about 15 or 20 years later when the marital status changes or there's kids involved or whatever.
Oh, I know there's got to be one of my shirts, a couple of them sitting in a Value Village somewhere that, if they're smart, they put a piece of tape over a couple of the words or something like that.
Well,
So
wasn't there the story of, was it Miranda Lambert or Ella Langley or somebody was wearing a Danny Hooper's Stockyard T-shirt a at a concert recently, and Danny had to go back into production and because he had such demand for them after she wore, I can't remember, she was a big star, but, she wore the Danny Hooper Stockyard T-shirt, and he had to go back into production and starts, he's selling them again.
Yep, it was. I had to. A friend of mine wore one of my shirts for his music video he was in, and had a couple of inquiries from Germany for these shirts and stuff because they'd seen he was a European metal band he was in. So I don't think anybody in Canada really saw too much of the videos, but they were pretty popular in Europe. Yeah, I was smart enough to put my website at the bottom of the logo on the front, so that was plainly visible in the music video. And so yeah, a few inquiries here and there, and the beer case cowboy hats too. I remember I get this email from a guy, and he goes, and he sends me a picture, and he's got literally 500 cowboy hats that he's molded out of 3 empty beer cases. And he goes, "Yeah, I make these hats. And I saw your website and I like what you do." He says, "But I got no real way of selling these things. Do you, would you might be interested in selling some of these?" And I was living in Kamloops at the time. He was in Okanagan Falls. I said, "I'll be there in 2.5 hours, buddy." And I drove down, and his name was Mag. He was a good guy. He was a trailer park supervisor, swear to God. And the liquor store next door used to throw out the 15-pack cases of Budweiser and Canadian and all these things. He would get them free, and he had a little mold with glue, spray on glue, and he made a perfect shaped cowboy hat. So I was at one point trying to sell a lot of these down to the States. I'd put them in a box, and it would be $25 for the hat, but almost $80 to ship it down to the States. But then, these NASCAR guys couldn't believe their eyes. They were getting a Budweiser hat, and then I'd get the complaints back, what the hell is 355 ml on my hat? Well, it's Canadian. It's not in ounces. You bought a Canadian Budweiser hat, buddy. So, but again, those are a pain in the butt too, though. Sometimes I'd walk into a bar because, I'd leave him in the bar and I would cover him up. I remember walking into a pub once, and everybody in the bar is wearing one of my hats. And it's like, hey, those aren't free. I'm walking around taking them off. You want to buy one? They're $25, and all that. And somebody pointed out to the guy who had gone on stage and taken all the hats and handed them out. And I went up to him and said, I didn't really appreciate that. And it was funny how he wanted to kick my ass. And I never felt more like Tony Soprano that day, because when he did get off his stool to come up and kind of get in my face, it was just like 2 other guys got up, just kind of lifted him up by his arms and escorted him out of the bar. It's like, "No, you're not touching Party Hog today." I'm like, "Works for me, guys. Thanks for having my back." So
You talked about doing the whole one-man show and, making sure all your merch is set up and, I mean, your tour manager, Semenko Dave, who is your cat, is just, I mean, he never showed up at the gigs. He was always back in the hotel room, I'm guessing. So,
yeah, I did sneak him in for a photo op at one time.
yeah.
I plunked him at the bar, and they put a Corona and a shot of tequila in front of him, and it was like, "Quick, get the picture." So I've
Yeah.
got a picture of him at a couple of bars. But yeah, he best hang around the house and the hotel, that kind of stuff, because
For people listening, what's your setup when you do your one-man show? You've got tracks, or you've got machines? Like how does it all, and you play guitar upside down and all that because you're left-handed? How does it all work, and what's it all put together?
in a nutshell, I started as a singer. I played a little bit of guitar. The guitars that were laying around were always my other bandmates' guitars, and they were right-handed guitars. But I played left-handed, so I would just flip it over and not have an actual left-handed, properly strung left-handed guitar. I would just play theirs upside down, like Albert King, like Eric Gales, a few other guys. There's advantages and disadvantages to it for sure. So I had my guitar skills come up a little bit, and I was fortunate enough about 1990. I worked in an old music store here in Edmonton, Music Factor. And that was about the time MIDI tracks were coming out with the old Atari 1040 ST computer, hybrid arts track software. And I would literally sit at a keyboard and, this note on the keyboard would be the kick. That's the snare. That's the hi-hat. Start recording, record the drum track, go back, pick a bass sound, play the bass sound. So I would build up a lot of my own tracks over the years. And after a while, you start to, like hockey cards, I would trade with a guy in Australia. He was a hell of a piano player, and I wasn't that good. So he would send me stuff that was really piano heavy, chop, that kind of stuff. And I would send him all the Canadian bands, Big Sugar, Bryan Adams, Kim Mitchell, all that kind of stuff, the tracks that I was doing. So it's still kind of funny. I look around and see a lot of MIDI files of backing tracks that I've created are still out there in public domain right now. You're only as good as the sound software, your sound engine. And now I know a lot of people remember like Windows 95 and stuff. You'd hear cheesy little MIDI files and the sounds that would play from your computer. It sounded like Nintendo type stuff. But the notes are the notes. They play this note this loud at this time signature. So if you have better sounding equipment, a better sounding drum machine, drum module, keyboard modules, it improved the sound of my band, because that's literally what I was trying to do, was replace a band. I wanted my band to sound like I had a drummer and a bass player and a keyboard player playing with me. I didn't want to recreate the sound of the original tracks. I found that to be troublesome. Like when I first started doing it, I'd have the Zeus Thunderbolt snares for Pink Floyd tunes. And in the Beatles songs, I have a Ringo drum kit. But that would really mess up the mix with the PA system and stuff, having all these variant sounding drums and stuff. So I tried to keep it a little more consistent. So playing along with the tracks was, I was really damn proud of the hundreds of songs that I put thousands and thousands of hours into programming each track, every song, and then getting to the point where, okay, well, now let's run my light show. I got my light show behind me. Let's run a track of lighting so I could sit there, and at this moment when the snare is going da 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 da, my lights are going ba 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 in time with it. Then it would be, okay, I don't want to have foot pedals on the stage, because little Miss Spilly Drink would come up and, can you play so crunch? And there goes my pedal, and I'm fucked for the rest of the night. So I had it so that I got a rack mount version of my guitar, and the same thing. My music track would be playing along, and at this moment, bam, it kicks into this guitar sound for my solo and out. So I was pedal free. Then I had it triggering video stuff on a TV. I would just take a big 42-inch TV and put it up behind me, and for intros and things like that. But it was, the track would play and it would kick in my harmonies in and out, my echoes for voice in and out, guitar patch changes, video stuff, the lighting, and the backing tracks of the band playing along with it. A lot of work went into it. And now that art form seems to be a little lost, because with AI now you can just strip the tracks of original songs apart. I want to do a Van Halen song now. All I got to do is take out David Lee Roth's vocal and Eddie's guitar, and I can actually play with the original bass and drum tracks. It's kind of cheating, but to each his own. Guys can do that and get out and play, but it's gone more of an acoustic kind of direction the last few years, and the loop pedal thing. I never understood the loop pedal thing. I'm not a looper guy in that aspect. What happens when you have a key change, or a bridge? You got to do songs with no bridges.
Yeah. I don't know how. I had Jimmy on. She's originally from St. Albert, living out in Vancouver now. She just got She's working with Laura Warner now and starting to catch fire. And she was doing the loop thing. And I first saw her at the Glass House, which is in the Enjoy Center in St. Albert. And then she moved out to Vancouver. And then Brian Adams caught one of her videos that went viral on Instagram of her doing the looping thing. And all of a sudden, she was in a studio teaching Brian Adams how to do it. Like, I mean,
Oh, wow.
it's incredible the technology. And I was thinking about the technology because you said there was thousands of hours that you spent putting all those MIDI tracks together so that you have something to play along to in your performances as a one-man entertainer. But it made me think of like, did you even make minimum wage if you consider the amount of hours that you put into doing that
Not,
fucking thing?
not even close. Like I remember doing Goodbye Stranger, and I had to program all the keyboards, the piano, the organ, all the bass and the drums. The song's damn near 6 minutes long. And then I get to the end of it. I've put 60, 70 hours into this damn track. And then I go to do it live and I realize I need somebody else to be singing that other part. I'm fucked now. I could be going by stranger, and then I really waste of time. So I tried selling them off, a couple of them, but nobody's going to pay $200 for a MIDI file of Goodbye Stranger. They want to pay $10 for it. So that's it. It was some songs that take me half an hour. A ZZ Top song, it'd be pretty easy. Cut and paste. You get lucky that way and change up a tom fill here and there, and suddenly it's pretty much a recreation of the original song. But yeah, there was a lot of others that I put just way too much work into it, but I justified it as my job, and I tried to bring some kind of a new song every time I performed. I would had a lot of regular gigs in my rotation, and just wanted to keep it fresh for the audience and for what I was doing as well too. So
With
it was fun.
I mean, aside from the people that come up and request songs or whatever, there's got to be every once in a while you run into people who are in bands, young guys who are starting out, or that are interested in your rig and your setup. Are they like, is their mind just blown? And I mean, they come up and look and see what you're
It
doing, like,
it is. It's kind of where I nerd out for that moment during my break, where I'll take them up and I'll show them that I'm using my live performance software is Cakewalk Pro Audio 9, which was released in 1999. And it has, because this is such early sequencing software, it wasn't all bloated up with all of these extra things to mix with and that. So it was pretty stable. It worked live, and I would just show them, yeah, well, there's my audio track. I would build it, and then there's the track for the lighting and the track for the TV and this and that. And it just plays along and away we go, kind of thing. The hardest part really was keeping the music tracks consistent in volume and sound and that as well too. That was really, I play a song and realize, okay, that's way too loud. That needs to be fixed, and try and make a mental note. And then of course, 6 months later, I do the song again. I go, shit, I still haven't fixed that fucking part yet, have I? So like,
I was even thinking the young guys that come up and are interested in your rig, they probably they were in the bar on Tuesday and then they come again on Saturday. And it's like, you're still here? What the hell? How
yeah,
do you get a six-nighter? They're probably trying to figure out, they don't even understand the whole idea of the Western Canada bar circuit and what it used to be. They're probably just like, how are you doing this?
exactly. Like, well, because I mean, a lot of shows these days, unless you're a old school cover band, you're doing 3 sets in a bar. But the majority of shows that I see the younger bands and stuff do, they're doing 1 set. That's it. So trying to wrap their head around doing 3 sets in a night for 6 nights in a week, and trying to fend off the tequila gods while at the same time. So it's fun. It usually starts. It's funny. It usually starts visually. I'll be looking out and playing, and I go, oh, there's another one, and you see them going like this with a guitar, and then they go like, and they kind of go like, trying to figure out, because of the strings being upside down, for me, I play left-handed. My low E is on the bottom. My high E is on the top. So I have to strum up to get a proper chord strum going. And it's kind of funny how, some things are a lot easier to play and others aren't. But it starts with that, where it's like that whole bass backwards guitar situation, and they're trying to figure it out. Now, when I look it down on my neck from here to my guitar neck, I make complete sense of what I'm doing. I can see what I'm doing, and I understand what I'm doing. But even from the audience perspective, still to this day, I'll watch video of myself playing from their point of view. And I look at what I'm doing on the neck. I go, what the fuck am I playing? Like, what chord is that? Like, because I don't push my bends up. I have to pull them all down. So I make this weird hand gesture like that. And yeah, it really messes with guys' minds. It's pretty funny how you see them do that. And it's like, okay, there's a guitar player. I can tell his mind's trying to figure out what the hell I'm doing up here. So
Mike Thompson from ThompsonMortgages.com is my mortgage broker. He's helped facilitate a number of real estate transactions over the years for me, and I know he can help you. He's not just some rando dude. I actually have used him. And if you're looking for a better way to lower your monthly payments or save money on your mortgage, now might be the perfect time to refinance your home. This is your reminder that even a small change in your mortgage rate can make a big difference every single month. So whether you're looking to reduce your payments, consolidate debt, simply explore better options, Mike Thompson is here to help make the process simple and stress-free. A quick conversation could help you lower your interest rate, reduce your monthly mortgage payment, free up some extra cash every month, consolidate high-interest debt into one manageable payment. Don't keep overpaying if better options are available. Call Mike Thompson today, 780-918-9157, and see what refinancing could do for you. I'd like to take a moment to tell you how excited I am to welcome a new partner on the Reluctantly podcast. It's Timber Built Homes. Their focus is timber homes and cottages, year-round living, recreational dwellings, and beyond that, pavilions, barns, and freestanding timber-built offices. Complete information is available at timberbuilthomes.ca, and it's also where you'll learn about Timber-Built's Home in a Box. It's fantastic. An entire home package shipped in a sea can anywhere in the world right to your build site. See the floor plans, sample builds, photo gallery, and most important, the prices right on their website, timberbuilthomes.ca. And please let them know that you heard about them on the Reluctantly podcast. You talked about little Miss Tequila that wants to come up, and she's already 9 deep and wants to hear Wagon Wheel or whatever. What stories do you have of that? Like, because you're up there with your gear, and there's a certain sort of invisible barrier that you want no one to, broach. But there's always going to be something. There's always going to be some girl that comes up on stage and starts yelling into your ear while you're playing.
While I'm playing,
April Lane.
That's exactly the problem. That happens a lot still to this day. In fact, it's gotten worse the last few years. I think God bless a lot of the acoustic guys. They encourage somebody come on up and sing with me. I got a zero tolerance for that, and I've let all the bar owners know that somebody gets up on stage, I get that off my stage now, please and thank you. I've had a few incidents. Things didn't go too well. I've had sucker punched a couple of times and stuff like that in the middle of a set and in the middle of a song. And so I tend, that invisible wall, it's like, you stay there. I'll wait till the song's over, please. And then I'll talk to you. What do you want to hear? No, I don't play Wagon Wheel. You should know better than that. But I've had a couple of pedals when I was working pedals. Somebody would just come up and just crunch, or the butt slam. That was the other one. They dancing away and it'd be like, oh, here she comes. She's backing up and right into the bottom of my boom stand, and my mic, boom, mic punched. And then I actually got video of it. This happened in a Soyuz. The girl bumped in. Mike punched me, gave me a fat lip, and she turns around and she starts cursing me out because she thought I touched her ass. And I'm like, oh my God, Mike punched me, lady. Like, okay, just bite my lip, on to the next song and keep going, kind of thing. So I don't abuse the crowd as much as I used to in those situations anymore, because I give them a little forgiveness now. It's like, all right, you've been drinking a
Didn't
little.
I didn't I see you in Fort McMurray at, what's the place up in Fort
Oh,
McMurray that
that's
you were
right.
at? And there wasn't even a stage. There you're just standing on the dance floor, like, at the same level as everybody else dancing and stuff.
That's just, yeah, the Black Horse Pub. I played there
Yeah.
25 years at the Black Horse Pub. Yeah, that was a little difficult. You'd see, yeah, falling over into me, falling over my monitor, stepping on my pedals, bumping into my mic stand. Happened a hell of a lot. I have reacted negatively towards, certain people. Hey, like this, and they'll tune my guitar. That's a fucking no right now. Um, I had one guy who got on stage and he was sleeping in the bar, and I kind of was making fun of him a little bit that he was sleeping, but he woke up and he realized I'd been making fun of him. So he kind of got up on stage. He wanted to kick my ass and let's go right now, kind of thing. And I was, well, you know what? Let me take my guitar off first. He goes, okay. I lift my guitar up. I get it to about here and I just go pop right in his chin. Good night. Thank you. Off he went. So I've learned not to do that anymore due to lawsuits and things like that. But I make sure they got cameras in there. It's like, hey man, he got in my space first and he threatened me. So like, but I have little zero tolerance for that kind of thing, especially after, like I said, being sucker punched a few times. Suddenly you're like, you turn around to start the next song to my right on my laptop. And then suddenly there's a big dude standing in front of you because he didn't play fucking Wagon Wheel. And now pop, 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 here comes. So
When I talked to Tom Cochran, he talked about the early days and traveling all across the country and broken down vans and this and that and the other thing, and opening for a one-armed stripper and playing a playing a gig, and all of a sudden the bar owner decided he wasn't going to pay him, and when they tried to strong arm the owner, and the guy just brought out a gun and set it on on the desk. And
oh, jeez.
Tom was like, "Okay, we're good." Have
I,
you ever had any instances where you had to hightail it out of town? I mean, it's one thing to have girls coming up on stage and, Mike punching you or whatever, but did you ever have an instance where you had to get the fuck out of Dodge right quick?
uh, Lloydminster was one. The bar manager, I won't even say his name. He just, remember that Hassenpfeffer character from Bugs Bunny cartoons? Where's my Hassenpfeffer?
Hmm.
Big chunky guy. He was just he insisted that we all pack and leave the building before he was going to pay us. And something was really fishy about that. So we just made sure to have one of us kind of not get on the bus. One of us stayed inside the building. And sure enough, he thinks we're all on the bus and he locks the door and he goes, fuck you. And it's just kind of like, look over your shoulder, dude. Our light man's standing right behind you, and he was in the Navy, so he's gonna hurt you bad. So we got our money that time. We never played there again, obviously, but I've had other strange instances. Did have the police pull a gun on me at one show.
Stuart Copeland? Oh, the real police.
Yeah, the real police. Yeah, that bastard Sting, man. I thought no, it was. I guess I had a lot of tequila that night. I was being the party hog, and the band accommodations were attached to the pub, and I guess I had gone to my room, and fallen asleep. Let's put it that way. I go in the next day to go get my equipment and load out, and they're all like, "Party hog, how does it feel having a gun pulled on you?" Like, what are you guys talking about? Oh, didn't you hear? I slept, man. I went to bed. I passed out. So they tell me the story of what happened. I guess they closed up the bar. Somebody forgot to lock one of the doors. The alarm went off. The RCMP show up. So they do a little perimeter around the pub to try and find where what might have happened. And I guess I'd left my door open a little bit. So lady RCMP officer constable kicks the door open with her gun drawn and says, "Identify yourself." And what she found was me sitting on the edge of the bed in my underpants with an empty pizza box on my lap with the TV blasting, and I'm passed out leaning up against the wall. I still got the remote control in my hand. So I'm oblivious that she's even been in the room, and I'm like, they're telling me this the next day. I'm going, oh, come on, that didn't happen. Well, the next time I played there, about 6 weeks later, this lady constable, she could not wait to get in to meet me and tell me all about what went down, and it's her favorite story now. And she goes, "Oh yeah, I had the gun drawn. I didn't know what I was facing when I went into the room." She says, "I was really surprised to see how cute you looked sitting there in your underpants with an empty pizza box, passed out." So the bit of the legend was born that day for that gig. It was like, I got another 10 years of gigs out of that just because they still hound me to come down and play. And it's just too far now, guys. So, but
You talked about the Lloydminster thing, and you said that the guys packed up, and your sound or light man was still in the room. That was obviously with one of the bands that you've been in. How many bands have you been in since '82, if that's when it all started for you?
yeah, I lied my way into my first band, told them I was keyboard player. They had a girl singer, 2 guitar players. And so I literally, I went and borrowed a friend's cheesy Yamaha. It's like a Casio synthesizer. And I learned Hiding from Love and Remember by Bryan Adams. This is before You Want It, You Got It came out. So this is like off his very first record. And I got into the band because I knew those 2 songs on keyboards. And then this is ironic too. They said, "Well, can you sing?" I go, "Yeah." So the very first song I ever sang with a band was Crazy Train. And that girl singer got pregnant by the light man. So that we got another girl singer and another light man, and the same fucking thing happened again 3 months later. "I have to quit. I'm pregnant." Jesus Christ. So they looked at me. My nickname back then was Beef. They said, "Well, let's just get Beef to sing. He can't get pregnant." And that was it. I stepped into the lead singer role, band to band to band, the 6-nighter grind, the C circuit to the B circuit bands. And then my big break was I joined a band. We were trying to get recognized, and we were offered 3 nights at the Windsor Hotel in Red Deer, opening for Fist for $450. And so we took the gig because we knew this was going to be a break for us. So at least we'll get some exposure at a what was considered an A room at the time, I guess. Not much of a room, but it was. So this is how green we were. Fist had already come in and they set up their rig and their PA system, and they had 8 par cans, lighting cans set up. Well, our arrogance, we brought in our entire fucking PA and light show and set it up in front of them. And we had about 60 cans, lighting cans. So I remember our opening song was Alive and Kickin' by Kick-Axe. We'd start this night off with that. Opening for Fist Monday night. Here comes the band running downstairs. What the hell? They look up and they see this wall of lighting and going on, and us using our own PA, our own mixer, and they weren't too happy about that. But the next day we had to take it all down and kind of eat a little humble pie. But we were hired there within 2 weeks for a full 6-nighter, and that's when the ball got rolling on the A circuit. Went from there into the Ozzy show in the mid 80s, and in the 90s I went to Vancouver, joined a good band down there. That's how we came up with the Party Hog name. It was a band I joined called Wild Romance. And the first thing I said was, well, I'm your new singer, but I'm not singing in no fucking band called Wild Romance ever. And I would make fun of the name on stage, and my keyboard player, you can't do that, man. You can't do that. It's like, well, we need a real name. So we went into the big Sam Feldman's office and had a big meeting in the office there. And I remember our manager was staring down the desk across from me, and I'm like, okay, this is a little uncomfortable. And he suddenly comes up with Party Hog. I go, that's it. That's going to be the name of the band. And same keyboard player, I don't know if the girls are going to come out and see a band named Party Hog. Shut up, Doug. So there, and then, but that collapsed soon. Billy Ray Cyrus showed up, and we lost 9 regular gigs in Vancouver within 3 weeks. They all switched to country music and line dance lessons. So that was it. I came back to Edmonton, joined Joe Rockhead. I thought I played a little rhythm guitar, a little bit of keyboards, and sang. And I thought that's what they would want me to do. He says, no, I want you to play bass. I'm like, oh, Jesus. Okay, well, it's only 4 strings. The strings are as big as a telephone pole. This should be an easy gig. Well, I still remember the first night we played the Spruce Grove Motor Inn, and I'm getting halfway through the second set, and I'm crying, full out crying, because my arms hurt so fucking much from playing the bass. I remember I literally called up a couple of my old bass players the next day and said, I'm sorry, man. I take it all back. Everything I ever said about bass players and stuff. It's a brutal instrument to play and all this. So learned my lesson. I stuck with Rockhead for 10 years. And from there, started up a duo in the early 90s, just because Joe Rockhead, the gigs weren't available every weekend. So it was like, well, let's do something else. And I remember at the time, when I first started out, my English high school teacher played in a duo, and they had the backing tracks. And I remember him playing, he was a high school teacher, and he's living up in the nicest part of the city in a beautiful house. And I'm going, no offense, but high school teacher, how are you selling weed or something? Like, what's going on here? And he goes, no, I got a little duo I play with on the weekends, and we go play out at the Heffley Creek Hall, and we make $1,800. And I'm like, boom, what? That's more than my band makes at the time. I like, we were making $75 a week if we were lucky. Yeah. So it really got difficult at that time to try and justify sitting around the house. I worked at Axe Music for a couple of years, which I was terrible. I was just a terrible salesman. I was too honest with everybody. No, you know what? That thing's a piece of shit. But yeah, I could have made $200 commission off of selling that. But no. You want this one. And I'd make $28 off of this keyboard instead. But I didn't make any money, but I nurtured a lot of good professional relationships with it. It got me in real connection and with the Edmonton music community, meeting a lot of people, names, and having these relationships where it's like, I'm not going to burn this guy because I might end up in a band with him 10 years from now. So there was that lesson of not making money playing in a music store. And in any money I made, of course, I would just buy gear with. So constantly broke and trying to make some money. So the duo became a money-making situation. Go play the little pubs here and there, and the money was never too bad. So, and then after a while, I realized, why am I paying 50% out to the other guy just because he plays lead guitar? Because I had convinced myself I was going to be only as good as rhythm guitar. Because of my handicap playing upside down, I couldn't solo. So look what happens when you actually start practicing. Go figure, it's like, before you know it, hey, I can actually pull off within my abilities. I was no Eddie Van Halen or Yngwie Malmsteen, that's for sure, but I could bend a note. And I also learned too, when you bend the note, make the face. make the face.
Yeah.
That sell the note you're playing. So I played within my abilities, and before you know it, I went pretty much solo for a good 25-year run doing Party Hog there, and God, made some decent money for a solo act. I was pulling down band like money and playing venues that would normally have bands, but I was the economical version in some aspect because they would pay X amount on pay weekends. And then the non-pay weekends, that's when they would bring me into, say, a rock club or something like that, and I do my thing. So make a little bit less money than them having to put out the band, but I got to keep all the money for myself and selling the merch. But a lot of strain because again, you're doing all the driving, the setting up, the tearing down. I did 16 one-nighters in Saskatchewan and 18 nights. Every place was different, and every town was less than 1,000 population. None of the big cities at all. Well, big cities, I guess, but I wouldn't trade those days. They were starved for entertainment, these small towns, and it felt good coming in and blasting out a good rock and roll show for these people, and they were very appreciative and had a good run. But again, things change after a while, and you start to realize I'm getting older. It's a little hard to recover. Not even if you are taking care of yourself. It's just it's a lot of work.
The nice thing about it is you keep the money for yourself and you don't have to pay a sound guy who knocks up your backup singer or lead singer.
That's just it. That's it. I didn't have to worry about getting pregnant. Yeah, I'm like, okay, that's fine. I just have to worry about, getting to the next place and hoping the van doesn't break down because there were no cell phones a lot of time back then too, as well.
So your 25-year run as Party Hog and the one-man band still dabbling in and out, not quite as busy as you used to be. Tell me about the sort of transition over to the Chrome and Chromosome and all of the things that are happening with the Southside Club.
What happened was I got a phone call from Eric Young, drummer in Chrome, and he said, we're looking for a new singer. And I said, well, it's about fucking time you called me. I was being cocky because I played with Eric and Joe Rockhead and stuff. So I did kind of know him. So I threw around a little bit of the cocky attitude at first. And I was interested in joining the band. I did come on board. They wanted me to sing a lot of the songs the previous singer, Doug, was doing. Doug's a great guy. I love him. Great, terrific singer. But him and I are very different vocalists. So I don't do Journey and Toto and stuff like that. I'm more of a Whitesnake kind of guy. So having to change the set list over, I was hesitant to join a band again. But the players were so phenomenal. Rob Needham. I mean, like the guys are just incredible musicians in the band. So I looked at it as a good opportunity to kind of get back into it. That worked for a couple of years, and then we started doing shows. They had this thing called the House of Seven going, where they had a little private venue, and it was a little underground and stuff like that. I wasn't involved with it at that time. When I joined the band, though, we started to save up some money. We'd put on a hall party here and there, and we'd just keep the money. And then an opportunity came to get this place where we're at now with Chromosome. It was a recording studio, recording bay in the back that had a live stage that was used for recording. There were some parties and stuff there on weekends and stuff. And, I'd been there a few times to jam and told a very nice gentleman, Jim Gray from Darkroom. I didn't know who he was at the time. Get the fuck out of my chair, man. You're in my chair. And then it's like, hey, you know who that is? That's Jim. Oh my God, Jesus, he's a fucking legend. And I'm sorry, man. So, I was still transitioning I'd moved back to Edmonton and still really kind of, I was all in on being the party hog still at the time. And so trying to get back into that music scene, wanting to be with a band was a bit of a difficult transition, but we got this place, we took it, we rented it out, and with our engineer Corey and our lighting man Pete, they just created a room that kind of has. We don't make any money at the place. I mean, we really don't. We pay the rent. That's it. We're all volunteers working there, but we don't have to. With all due respect, we don't have to play this place in town, that place in town, and there can be certain challenges of playing this place and that place, certain attitudes about playing this place and that place. It makes it difficult to work with, and expectations and stuff. So we thought let's run our own place, and that way we're in charge, and we can do 2 sets a night instead of having to do 3. We can rehearse whenever we want. And it quickly turned into a place where bands come in and do video shoots. We rent it out for rehearsals. God, when Triumph played outdoors last year when the Oilers were in the playoffs, they rented our place for 3 nights. It was top secret, but it was like, we got a phone call and they'd heard about our place, and Triumph came in and rehearsed in there for 3 nights. It was just so, we've had some fairly decent artists come through. We've done some recording and stuff for them, but we wanted to have a place that was good for the community. I mean, we'd love to be paying the bands more money, honestly. I mean, but the money's just not there. We're only a 60-seat capacity. We sell tickets at $15. You do the math. That's not much happening. So it is what it is that way, but we try and make it up for them and being nice. You get a nice green room. Roxanne, our manager, house manager, she spoils the bands. I'll go get you something to eat, snacks and a fair amount of free drinks for the bands that want to participate in that. They get a multi-track recording of their performance that night. Plus, we got a 5-camera system in there that records as well too. And Corey with his little 360 camera, it's like the NFL cam going back and forth across the stage and stuff. So we're able to at least give the band something extra. Here's the meager amount of money you made at the gig tonight, but here's the video package. Here's the audio package. Here's the incredible time. And the best part, you're done by midnight. You're out of there by midnight. And not only can the band members, but a lot of the audience are still able to go somewhere else in town. They can still catch the 3rd set at any other pub in town. So it's been a good, we're coming up on a 3-year run here now, and in February, and it's a labor of love. It's a lot of work still. I love volunteering. I love working the door, Terry. It's one of the coolest things to have people walk up. Like, it's literally, we're in the back of a warehouse bay. It's a steel door. There's no signs. There's a rubber mat on the door. And I stand there at the door and I'll see a car drive into the back alley, and there's a guy and his wife in the car, and he'll go, "Oh, there it is. You can see it." And the wife will go, No, keep going. We're not going here. Kind of thing. It's like, it looks like a slaughterhouse entrance kind of thing. But then, they come in, and I love greeting them at the door. First time here? Yeah. Looks like nothing on the outside, but you walk in, it's like you're walking into a Bon Jovi video. Enjoy it. And then seeing their face when they walk in the door, they go, "Jesus, I was not expecting this." When you walk in the place, half the room is the stage and the lighting, and they think it's going to be super loud. But we're really lucky with the sound treatment we have in there. It's it isn't too punishing for anybody. The sound quality is really good, but yeah, it's just, and for me, the fun part is being the doorman, and then 45 minutes later, I'm on stage singing.
Yeah.
Hey, that's the door guy. What the hell's he doing? Like, well, I'm also one of the owners too, right? So I love greeting the people like that. That's fun.
Yeah. And it's so funny because it's like you were in the truck with me and Jody when it did it. Well, I'm not going in there. That doesn't look like the place. That's what Jody was.
Yeah.
When I took her.
Oh, it looks a little scary. I know. People are like, "Where's the fancy entrance?" Oh, well, we spent the money on the inside, not the outside. That's just it. Well, and the best part is that when we're done at midnight, rubber mat comes off the door, close it, lock it, arm the alarm, and nobody knows. So,
Mhm.
but just to let everybody know, we are we're not an underground place. We do have, we've been okayed by the city, AHS, ACLB, or whatever you put it.
AGLC.
That's it.
Mhm.
We've the fire department, they've all given us the stamp of approval kind of thing. So we know we're running it as a nonprofit, and it's definitely nonprofit, that's for sure. But it's so cool seeing the talent level come through there. Secondhand Dream Car was in there, and it was a amazing show. Derek Frank, bass player for Shania Twain, Melissa Etheridge. He's touring with Don Felder right now. Put on a clinic of musicianship. Just some of the amazing shows that we've been fortunate enough to have in there, and the level of musicians that have come through. It's pretty cool. And then some of the new younger bands coming through, the young pups and stuff, and they just can't believe the room themselves, and that they're getting treated with respect, not something that they do get at a lot of the other places and stuff. No disrespect to the rooms, but like, we really like to make sure everybody has a great experience there coming in, because we don't have that much extra money to offer them to make up for it. It's fine if you were making $2,000 for the night, and we can be assholes, but you're not, so we better be nice to everybody. So
Well, I think part of that goes along with all of the experience of everybody who's there, who's running the place, who's got you've got a finger in the pie, so to speak, and with the experience that you've had over the years, you learn from the bad experiences, you learn from the mistakes, and then you're able to turn that into a good experience for somebody in the future.
yeah.
Reluctantly.
This podcast is reluctantly sponsored by Wendy Campbell, realtor at blackmorerealestate.ca, serving the greater Edmonton area, proudly Canadian and locally owned. Contact Wendy at blackmorerealestate.ca. That's WENDE at blackmorerealestate.ca. Why does she not have a Y in her name? I don't know why. It's none of my business, probably none of yours too. Wendy has over 20 years of home sales experience. She has extensive knowledge of the new and previously owned home market. She can help you out with a free market evaluation of your home. And if you're looking to buy your forever home, she's got all the resources to help you with that as well. Not to mention, she's a builder partner with Rowett Homes. Wendy at blackmorerealestate.ca. WENDE at blackmorerealestate.ca.
Reluctantly.
Hey, give me a minute to tell you about Concept Clothing and Culture. CONXEPPT.com. Suits and tuxedos. And you can find them right here in Edmonton. They're handmade suits, custom tuxedos, tailored essentials, suits starting at $1,188. You choose everything. The color, the fabric, even the stuff on the inside. The little pokey pocket thing that sticks out. It's amazing. It's a terrific experience. You can go through and get something as fancy as a tuxedo, or you can start with outerwear, matching sets, tailored essentials. They even do shirts, trousers, vests, and they do amazing couture for women. CONXEPPT.com. Concept, Clothing and Culture. Look your best.
Reluctantly.
Tushfest was an incredible success, and you were a huge part of it. Walk me through a little bit of that, how it started, how it ran, and then how it eventually came to a close.
There was a local sound man, legend. His name was Wayne Toshniak. Tush was his nickname.
Did he get a lead singer pregnant?
No, no. But no, but yeah, I won't go there. No, yeah, he was short in stature, but the biggest personality in the room. He was like Jeff, the roast master. Can't remember his last name. He could just burn anybody, and he was really good at it. Sadly, he got cancer, and I recall him complaining that we all did. He was very vocal about it. He'd have to go to the cancer center to get his treatments and stuff, but he had to pay for parking. And he goes, it's $15 every time I get my chemo treatments, and this is bullshit. He goes, I can't work because I'm on chemo and I got cancer, and they expect me to pay. And so there was this one year we thought, we knew the end was coming for Wayne. Let's have a reunion show. Let's get his favorite bands together and put a show on. And hopefully, if he's healthy, he can come out and mix one last time. So we did the show at Blues on White on a Sunday afternoon, and Winterkill was the headliner of the bands. I drove out from BC to host it. And having Wayne, geez, I'm actually getting choked up about this. Seeing Wayne get wheeled up in his wheelchair to the mixing board, and he had a definitive drum tom sound that was amazing, but he's the only guy I ever heard be able to make a drum tom sound like that. Here he is trying to do his job mixing for Winterkill in the condition that he was in. He was pretty weak at the time, but he still had his ears, and we're all just, we're not even watching the guys in the band. We're all just standing around the soundboard taking pictures of Wayne mixing until he's like, "Will you guys fuck off?" Trying to work. Okay, yeah, let's give Wayne his space, man. It's just like, so Wayne passed, and we thought that was a great time. It was a lot of love in the room from people that were around in that mid 80s, late 80s bar scene. So we thought, why not do something to honor him? Let's put Tushfest together. Graciously, the Century Casino let us come in and donated the room to us. Of course, they knew that our crowd drank a lot, and I think we set 3 bar sales records there in 10 years, the first 10 years we were there. But we would bring back, the essence was to reunite old bands and bring them back for one show. And we were lucky the first year. Sentinel, Hard Knocks, Winterkill, bands that were permanent fixtures on the local scene, playing, the CI South, the CI West, the Londonderry, the Rex, the Beverly Crest, all these rooms, and doing 6 nights a week. It was nice to get these bands back together for these shows. We would raise money to buy parking passes for cancer patients. Once we realized we had an outlet for this, we were all in. I worked with Randy Lambeth, Bill Birch, Wayne's wife, Sandy Toshniak, the Toshniak family and stuff. Ken Kempinski helped us out the first couple of years as well, too. And it was a labor of love for our friend, and to do something good, give back a little bit to cover expenses. Really, the first couple of years we had some logistical problems with giving out the parking passes. We corrected that, made it a little simpler and easier to get the money out to the patients. And, secretly, not so secretly, I guess we could say it now, we if a musician was having a hard time struggling, they were in a situation that they needed a little bit of help, you'd flip them a little donation just to get them over the hump. So we ran the show for as many years as we could until we started running out of the bands. And it got to be more difficult to reunite old bands in the spirit of it that it began with. And we found the last couple of years, the shows were leaning more towards just getting the local talent and still trying to put on an event. But, everything runs its course after a certain amount of time. And we realized maybe now's the time to go out on top. We were still selling out 500 tickets every show that we did at the casino. It was, we felt good doing it. We raised almost $85,000 that we donated in parking passes, just giving that out to patients and reimbursing them for their parking, and the good times that we had reuniting the bands. But it's difficult getting bands back together even after 30 years. There's still egos, still some wounds that have been left open. And well, that guy did that to my girlfriend back then. Yeah, it's been 30 years. Get over it, dude. You can play with them again. It doesn't matter anymore. So that got to be a little more difficult in the last few years I mean, we just ran the gamut on all the bands, the old bands that were available to play. So Tushfest it's literally one of the proudest things I've ever done in my life. And I recall your son Riley there. He was I remember seeing a video of he was DMT? DRT, that's right. I see a video of them doing YYZ by Rush. And I think two of the guys were 13 and one was 12 years old at the time, I believe.
Riley and Tate were 12 and Declan had just turned 14.
Oh, okay. I remember seeing the video of them pulling off YYZ and was bloody impressed. So it was like, let's get them in for an opening act. And it was fun getting them in to do a show. And we had to get special permission and stuff like that from the place. But I still remember standing at the back when they kicked into YYZ and seeing just the whole room light up. Like, these kids are going to pull this off. Holy shit. Suddenly everybody's paying full attention. And they nailed it.
The hair's standing
Look
up.
at that girl.
You're talking about it because I was there.
Oh, it was amazing. I mean, it was such a cool moment. And, giving them an opportunity to play at that show and seeing another generation coming up just made us all feel fantastic. Seeing, God, I remember when I was, quick story, when I was working at Axe, 13, 14-year-old kids were coming in and they wanted to buy DJ equipment in 91, 92 when I was working there. And it'd be like, yeah, what about a guitar? Maybe a drum set. No, I want to buy DJ. And then 6 months later, they would come in and return all their equipment, get 30 cents on the dollar and everything like that, because they couldn't get any gigs. And just, yeah, you should have bought a guitar. You could have been done something by a little bit more with it by then. So seeing it pass along it was a cool experience. I think we had the 1 year we had to do it at the Starlight Room. We decided to change the venue and we went to the Starlight Room. God bless them. We were told by a couple of people, no problem, bring the band. It was the Chicken Heads. That was the year of the Chicken Heads with Wayne Alchin.
Yeah, Wayne, Mac Long, Tate, and Riley.
That's right. And we were told no problem, they could come in and do it. And then it was like, we get there and the GM or whoever, somebody there said, no, can't happen. It's just like, oh, Jesus, what are we going to do? So we set them up across the street outdoors. And I don't know, it was still a cool experience. It's always bothered me that they had to play outside while everybody was waiting in line to get in, but still they pulled off the show and it was still able to happen. But we didn't go back after that, so we made sure
that was the day I learned how a generator works.
I'll bet. Yeah.
I was the worst paid roadie on the planet for that band. Well, the Chicken Heads and DRT and the Blues Puppy Trio, all those bands. So
they were a great band too. And and the other shitty part was suddenly, well, there's an opening slot on the inside now. Now the Chicken Heads can't play. Braniff, go get your acoustic. And I'm like, oh, Jesus, I ain't got nothing prepared. Like, come on. I got to go in there. So I got up and sang for a half an hour and kind of kept the show going and stuff. But it was, again, Tushfest was a real special thing that I was fortunate enough to be a part of, and the music community giving back a little bit to it. But I wish it could have kept going, but it had lost its spice, its essence. And it was just getting more and more difficult to keep that. I couldn't help but hear Wayne. Wayne was very vocal. When we made the very first poster for the first Tushfest when he was still alive, I remember I put the bands, I made the poster, I designed it up, and I put them in alphabetical order. He lost his shit on me because it was like, I don't want anybody being perceived as a headliner. We're all in this together. Okay. Point taken, that kind of thing. So we never tried to make it so that any one band was more special over the other one and we were all in this together kind of thing. But it just, yeah, it got really hard to find old bands that still wanted to play and guys that were still physically capable of playing. So I mean, we were lucky. We had Nick Danger. God bless Ted.
Yeah.
I mean, Ted put me through somebody's kitchen wall. We were on the north side. We showed up at a after party with my band, and there's Nick Danger's here too, and me and Ted were kind of similar in a lot of ways. At the time, I guess we had a little belly bucking contest, and I ended up going through some lady's drywall, sticking my head through into the living room. How's everybody doing in here? Like The Shining. So, but having bands of those elements and stuff come back, it was a lot of fun, and I do miss it. Sadly, we had to wrap it up this year. Would kind of run its course, and it was just, again, everything comes to an end. So we doled out the rest of the money that we had and walked away proud of what we accomplished. I guess it's the best way to do it instead of having it dissolve badly, kind of thing. So it worked out good.
It was so great to see it all through its entirety, or be a part of it in a small way a few times, and watch everything that developed with it too. The episode that we're recording right now is called "Permanent Marker." I want you to tell the story about the permanent marker, because you were was it it was during your Ozzy days when you were. So tell me the story about the permanent marker.
I decided to do Ozzy for Halloween. We were playing, of all places, Bella Coola, BC in 1983. And Bella Coola is on the West Coast. It's 3 hours of dirt road and then a back and forth exchange down the side of a mountain to get down to sea level. And it was like Halloween. We were booked there, and what am I going to do? Well, I went to the local shop, and there wasn't much there to choose from. There was a cape and a little rubber bat. So I thought, well, do Ozzy. Why not? I had his hair, and I sang Crazy Train and put some eyeliner on. Bam, I'm Ozzy. The next Halloween, I'm in Vancouver in 1984, and at the Metro, the band Steeler was playing, and I decided to up my game a little bit. So I get some Jiffy Marker felt pens, and my bass player draws the blue dragon with the flames and the Reaper, and I show up at the bar and dressed as Ozzy, and the reaction was just unfucking believable. And after the band's second set, a couple of the members take me upstairs, and we're gonna smoke some hash. I'm upstairs and smoking hash. I come downstairs, and everybody runs up. Where the fuck were you, man? You won the contest. But you weren't here. And I'm like, I really onto something here. So we decided to do an Ozzy tribute show back then. Guy Jones was the only guy doing one around at the time. He was doing the Alice Cooper show, and he was making bank. My God, the amount of money he was making doing that show. And of course, dollar signs floating in my head. Let's do this. So we had the same bass player, Danny, and Danny, we would play one set, okay, two sets, okay, and then I'd have to go sit in the room, sit in the chair, towel off, and Danny would freehand draw on me with Jiffy Marker felt pens to color in the tattoos. And it was so cool when we would start the show. I'd jump out of the coffin. I'd run on stage. We'd do the first song I had a fringy outfit on or whatever. Crazy Train, second song, guitar solo. I'd run off, whip my shirt off, and come running out. I had the same build as Ozzy at the time, that 200-pound kind of little bit of a beer gut thing, but not chubby. But people would see the tattoos and they just lose their shit, like at the level of what we were doing with this stuff. So we're 6 nights a week. So that's 6 nights a week, 9 months straight of 6-nighters doing this show. And one day I'm peeing and suddenly it's like, man, it's blue. Why am I pissing blue? It's just like, you better go to the doctor. So I go to the doctor and I said, Doc, I said, he goes, what are you here for? I go, well, my urine has changed color. It's like this blue color. And he says, well, what do you do? I said, I play Ozzy in a tribute band. And he goes, so he starts checking me out with the stuff. He goes, what's all this? They're smeared and faded by that time. I go, well, we draw the tattoos on with the felt pens every night. He goes, what do you use? I go, Jiffy markers. The guy pushes his chair back, goes in, reaches out, pulls the drawer open, pulls out the Jiffy marker felt pen. He's looking at it. And he goes, it says right on here, it's toxic. Like, don't get on skin. And I didn't know what to say to him, kind of like, well, yeah, well, how else are we supposed to do it, So he goes, I really recommend you don't do this anymore. He goes, that's your body purging the toxicity of the felt pens through your urine. And I'm like, oh, that's why it's blue. Okay, I thought maybe it was that girl in North Battleford or something. Oh, I'm going to pay for that one. So here was the solution. Let's do the Ozzy show Monday night, Wednesday night, Friday, Saturday. We would take Tuesday and Thursday off. And that was going to help, like only doing 4 nights a week of poisoning my body with this felt pen shit. That was quite the lesson learned. I probably did more damage to myself with felt pens than I ever did with any hash or tequila in 44 years. So
1982, 1983, you're doing the Ozzy tribute. You're touring around. You're doing this. You're doing your 6-nighters. You go through all of this stuff. You're the party hog for the better part of 25 years. You're now at Chromosome, and you're doing that. And it's said off the top that you're going to be 61 in a few weeks here. And all of a sudden, Stars and Stories Live comes knocking, and you've got an Ozzy tribute, the story of Ozzy Osbourne coming up. What made you go, yeah, I'll jump into something brand new?
I had a couple of pictures of me playing at the old Saxony from my Ozzy show days, and they're hanging up at Chromosome. The Stars and Stories Live guys were coming in and using Chromosome as a rehearsal spot. And one of them, I guess, had mentioned, oh, you got a picture of Ozzy up there. And Roxanne goes, no, that's Mike. No way. And Ozzy had just passed around that time. And I think the gears were kind of going that, like, I'll be honest, Terry, when Ozzy passed, within the first 2 weeks, I got 4 job offers to join tribute bands right away. Adamant. No. I've already done it. I'd already considered and still consider to this day. This is, the only thing I like. I know I've got an ego and stuff, but this is the only thing I'm really arrogant about is I think we were the first Ozzy tribute band back in 1985, and still probably one of the best ones because we were literally the only ones doing the tattoos. I had a live white dove in the show. I had the rubber bat. I had the 4-foot joint for Flying High Again. I had the werewolf mask for Bark at the Moon. I mean, we had all these theatrics in the show and stuff like that. So it had already been done, and I didn't want to, let's do it again and kind of thing. So when they approached me, I was hesitant at first, and because of that reason. And then they explained it to me how it was going to be more of a this is your life story. Lots of visuals, some storytelling, the voice of God coming down to narrate, and me being able to present this show, my interpretation of Ozzy. They were adamant that, as they are with all their shows, that the sound quality is the most important thing. It's not about the costumes. It's not about the impersonation. It's about making sure every note is played exactly how it should be. The tones are exactly how they should be. And that kind of perked my ears up. And it's like, okay, well, and plus the opportunity to work with Reed Shimazawa on guitar. He's phenomenal talent. My bass player, Duncan McCartney. I got a bass player named McCartney. Sounds good to me. Stan Petruzik, a friend of mine on keyboards, and Greg Williamson on drums, a phenomenal drummer. So it was like the talent level was like scary right out of the box. And I thought, the other thing that got me too was, when they said the Jubilee Auditorium. Oh, so you don't want to play the bars. Like this is a real theater type setup. And okay, well, this is next level. It's not a tribute band. It's a tribute show. That being said, I know for sure that I told them, I said, I have to channel Ozzy somehow. I said, I can't not do it. There's a lot of the audience that knows me from the Ozzy days and stuff. So they're going to be expecting some of it. I said, look, even Sharon told Ozzy in 1988, stop taking your shirt off. Nobody wants to see your floppy tits around running on stage. Right. So Ozzy stopped taking his shirt off on stage. And I said, as long as I don't have to do the tattoos myself, I mean, I'm already working my butt off trying to get in better shape and lose a lot of my party hog weight so I can get down to a better Ozzy style weight. Also, so I don't drop dead on stage at Jubilee too. That's a big stage I got to fill. So
yeah, Meatloaf has already done that.
That's kind of it. That's what I said. You guys, I'll be honest too. Like when they first, Stars and Story, yeah, Rob, they're going to get a hold of you and stuff. I thought they wanted to do Meatloaf at first. I said, yeah, sure, I'm ready. I can do that. I do it every Halloween. I shave, put on a white tuxedo shirt. Bam. Meatloaf. That's it. Hard costume to have to work out, but no, they said Ozzy. So yeah, it was a good opportunity. I'm honored to be a part of the franchise. These guys are so professional, and to tell the story of Ozzy while performing the songs on a nuclear level. And again, I don't want to overdo the Ozzy thing. I've got it in my head that like the first song, of course, you're going to get all the stuff, the arm waving, everything like that. Then dial it down for the rest of the show as we tell the story and stuff. But it's just hard for me not to, make the face every now and then, the bug eyes and the Ozzy faces. It's just too much fun to do that still, singing as Ozzy, but without all the other ridiculous props like the bird and the rubber bat and all that shit. We don't need to do that stuff. So just make it sound good, make it look good. But boy, I mean, the opportunity, like, again, I said the Jubilee. Wait, what? Yeah. I want to do that. Absolutely. I want to do that. So we're doing Red Deer, Grand Prairie. We do the Jubilee here in Edmonton. We're doing the Jubilee in Calgary. I guess we're going to Ontario in January too, as well. So, and that's bucket list thing for me. I've never been east of Thunder Bay in my life. So to first gig Ottawa, fuck yeah, I'm in, man. Let's go. So
this kind of thing could end up developing into something that even goes beyond that, just because of Ozzy and the folklore and the legend that is the personality and the man, the myth, all of that stuff. So
I've got so much of him in my head and all the things. And I got a full disclosure. I kind of tuned out on Ozzy about the last 24 or 5 years. I saw him play here, or no, in Calgary on the Osmosis tour. I was really let down. They had a great show, I guess, the night before here in Edmonton, but Ozzy said to us, "Yeah, I partied a little too hard last night in Edmonton," and I'm like, "Oh, so I get the B show," and I was ticked off a little bit. It was like, man, I finally get to see my legend guy, the guy, after all these years, and I was kind of disappointed in the show, and that really had an effect. And then the Osbournes came out,
Yeah.
and that was the beginning of reality TV shit show. The Kardashians came after, and every other thing came after, and I didn't like a lot of what was being done with his legacy. My grandma used to be scared of Ozzy. You know, she's, "Are you sure I heard he's a devil worshiper, and then this and that and stuff. Are you sure you want to be doing that?" Fast forward to about 2002, and, "Oh, he's that cheeky monkey I see on TV with his wife on the morning show," you know, and it's like, wait, grandma's not scared of Ozzy anymore? What the fuck happened?
Yeah. You
So
see him wandering around in slippers and pajamas. That's not the Prince of Darkness.
that was it, Terry. I honestly, it really threw me for a loop, and I tuned out on him. A lot of the music he put out in the last 25 years, I was not a fan of, I admit to, as well. That was another plus for me with the Story of Ozzy show with the Stars and Stories Live, was we cap it at "Mama, I'm Coming Home." That's the last song he played live for his audience right before he died. And it just seemed to make sense that that's about as far as we go, because, you know, anything after that, sorry, Post Malone, but I'd have no interest in doing the Ozzy Post Malone song for anybody. It's like, that's not classic. I want to stick with the classic stuff. So
Stars and Stories Live, that's Shapiro and Graham Neal, isn't it?
you betcha.
Yeah, and they did. I had El Niven on, and he did the
Nirvana.
Nirvana. Yeah, and yeah. Hey, feel free to drop my name for the voice stuff. I don't know if they've already recorded it.
I don't know how, if they asked me to do some of it, and I said, well, yeah, I'm okay with some stuff. I mean, I would kind of like to have the voice of God coming down to narrate most of it, so it gives me a chance to quickly towel off or something in between during the little video packages that run between songs. That would be great. I said, you know, I would like to tell this, you know, explain in 60 seconds or less to the audience why I feel I'm qualified to be up there. Why is a 61-year-old overweight balding guy doing Ozzy? And because I did it once and I lived it, and it was a huge part of my life, and there's few people on the planet that know more about the guy than I do. So God, I remember being at Sylvan Lake one summer about 1985, just on a Sunday afternoon off, and I hadn't washed off the tattoos yet, and people running up for my autograph. It's like, I'm not Ozzy. I'm not fucking Ozzy, man. But you know, the remnants of the eyeliner and the blonde hair and stuff. Yeah, I was able to pull it off. So yeah, I'm stoked. It's going to be a great show and a great production, and it's going to be a real special thing to do. Because I mean, I thought I was winding it down when I wrapped up Party Hog, and, you know, okay, I'll play a little bit occasionally now and then. You know, eventually I'm going to find myself a blues band to play with, and I would be happy and sail off into the sunset. Right. And I kind of thought that's what was going to happen here. So joining an Ozzy show at this point in my life, and revisiting this again, but on a very comfortable level of professionalism, and very well presented to the audience. I all over it, and I'm all in. I mean, my diet, damn it, you know, like I really have, like, yeah. No more of this, no more of that, you know, like I've literally had to, I was, you know, the only drug I ever dabbled in really was smoking pot. That was it. I'm a pothead. And I just can't anymore because I empty the fucking fridge out. So I'm literally off the weed now, even just to try and get my weight down, so that way a little more tolerable as an Aussie kind of thing. Right? Man,
Well,
that
I
guy's
couldn't wait,
plodding
man.
around up there. Geez, what the hell? I don't know. I give him 10 more minutes till he drops, like.
Stars and Story Live with the Grand Prairie and Red Deer shows, then the Edmonton and Calgary shows November 13th and 20th, so there's time. There is a ticket pre-sale on right now, if I remember correctly, is there not?
Yeah, the pre-sale code was Aussie. I think they're just generally on sale now, and the last I looked, God bless you, Edmonton. You've bought a lot of tickets. It's a good feeling, and it's terrifying at the same time because it's a bucket list thing. How could it not be to have played all these bars, every little pub in the city, every venue there is, to death, and opening for this, that, and that. Okay, I feel good about what I did, sure. But then to be offered a chance to play at the Jubilee, it's just it's a real honor, and I'm taking it real seriously, and I want to give that audience one hell of a show, and a night to remember, that's for sure. And do little things like I heard, Bill Hansen, when he was doing the Waylon Jennings show, he couldn't get out to the front lobby fast enough to meet and thank everybody for coming. I said, that's me. Absolutely. I can't towel off fast enough and get out there and thank everybody and take pictures. I did a little musical theater thing for 1 year in Kamloops for a year. And that was part of it. At the end of the show, we'd have the line at the end, and everybody, as they were leaving the theater, I got to see the importance of that. It really making that connection. And, here I was a Billy Miner Roadshow, and I was in disguise. So I had like a little Bo Peep costume with giant fake bosom and all this kind of thing. And I was still in costume with my Laura Ingalls blonde hair wig on stuff. There's got to be 1,000 pictures of me getting manhandled by German and Australian tourists in this lineup after the show. But, it gave them a night to remember. And yeah, I'm on somebody's slideshow in a basement that, do they still have those?
Reluctantly.
This podcast reluctantly sponsored by ThompsonMortgages.com. If you are set to renew your mortgage in 2026, reach out to Thompson Mortgages first. TimberBuiltHomes.ca. Homes and cottages, recreational dwellings, and more at TimberBuiltHomes.ca. Concept Clothing and Culture. Amazing custom-made clothes for men and for women at ConxEPPT.com. And Wendy Campbell, realtor at BlackmoreRealEstate.ca. If you would like to list your home, or if you're searching for your forever home, email Wendy at BlackmoreRealEstate.ca. WENDE at BlackmoreRealEstate.ca.
Reluctantly.